guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy. He shares his story about events that happened when he was much younger with the first girl that he really had a thing for. And how, unfortunately for him, because of his views on the world and how he was raised and thinking that pretty much all guys are villains and all gals are these sweet, perfect angels, it led to him really getting hurt. And not to mention the fact that it came very close, I mean very close, to having some serious problems with the authorities given what she was saying about him to cover her butt. And you're going to see in this story, guys, even though she says some things that could have gotten him in big trouble with the authorities, the guy was smart enough to outmaneuver her, outsmart her, and comes out on top. But guys, there's a lot of lessons in this story you're going to see here. Lots of ones about how the problem is with guys having that brainwashed blue pill mindset, if you will, about how essentially guys are bad and women are perfect sweet angels. And there are plenty of guys out there, sure, that are bad. And there are, well, some women that are nicer. I wouldn't go say sweet angels. But the point is, because of this mindset, it led him being very blinded to reality. Also in this story, guys, you're going to see a perfect example of what happens when you chase after women. When they were chasing after you for a while and you had it made, you didn't have to do anything, and then you felt like you got to start chasing and pursuing them, the effect it has on their attraction and their treatment of you, as well as what happens when you give women certainty, as opposed to being uncertain how you feel and all that, how they treat you. Also, once a cheater, always a cheater, and also the fact how they can replace you like that when they get bored and they're ready to move on. So lots of important lessons, things I talk about in this story here. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And it is longer, but it's definitely worth it. So it starts off, he says, Dear SSM, my name is EJ. I recently came across your content on YouTube, and I have to say that I'm a fan. I can't say I always agree with you 100%, but I do respect the position that you come from, and on most points we do agree. Like men must take the lead. Men can't be too available to their women, and you can't give your girlfriend certainty. And there is no difference between being kind and being nice. You never want to be nice. The worst thing a woman can ever say about you is that you're so nice or he's harmless. Yep, 100%. Anyway, I'm writing you because I want to share a story that happened to me, and I think it could serve your viewers as a warning of word or caution. Like many of the other stories from people who've written you, I was also burned by a girl once. Although at the time it sucked, I've learned a lot from it, and I'm thankful to God now for the lesson. Yeah, we all get burned in lives, guys. We all get hurt and have things happen to us. But if we can learn from it, that we don't make the same mistake twice or we become wiser from it, then it's not a total loss. And this guy was younger. He didn't know any better, but now he's learned. And now his story will help you guys out that you don't make the same mistake that he does. And I'm going to point these things out so that you can definitely notice these things that can help you out. He says, before I go into what happened, there is some background information you should know about me. While your channel often focuses on the horrors that women can inflict upon a man, I grew up with the opposite view. I'm the youngest male of a small band of siblings and a ton of cousins. Growing up, I'd see most of my brothers and cousins treat their women badly. They were all much older than me. I mean, cheating, lying, impregnating other women that weren't their wives or girlfriends, and on a few occasions, even physical altercations. My brothers and cousins would all get together and talk about how many women they hooked up with under their belt, and they would compare their body count as if they were talking about votes to see who was the king. Meanwhile, as a little boy, I would be in their homes while they were out, as their wives cried alone, and some of them would even confide in me because as a little boy, I was a great listener. So at an early age, you were conditioned to be the nice guy, the best friend that would listen to all their problems. And why are they telling you, a little boy, about these things? That's screwed up. It says, by the way, looking back at that, I don't think that it was cool that some of them did that. I was just a child and I shouldn't have been having those conversations, but what my cousins and brothers were doing were much worse. Please also note that though I knew what they were... Please note that I knew what they were out doing, I would not tell their women. They're scum, but they're still my family. So, okay. The brothers and the cousins and all that, they're cheating and lying and doing all those things, and in my opinion, that's not cool. But this idea that, and the women were at home crying and all that stuff like that, and, nobody should be hurt, but the reality is that, guess what? Women do the same exact thing to guys. And the reality, and the thing is this, is that you cannot be a guy that can have women respect you, amongst many other things, and don't not have to be out cheating and lying and all that. It's simply just acting like a freaking man. Checking her when she's being difficult, not putting her on the pedestal, not making her the center of your universe, you making you the center of your universe, your goals, your ambitions and all that, and not putting up with her crap, amongst many other things. You don't have to be a scumbag, you don't have to be a cheater or a liar or physical altercations. And there you go. It's finding that happy medium. But being the nice guy that listens and thinks that all women are these sweet angels and perfect, you're just inviting pain and suffering to come on you, okay? And but this, you're going to see here in this story, guys, what happens with this take he has. He says, even when it comes to my parents, I can't say I was in a completely healthy relationship. Don't get me wrong, they're still together to this day, and they're very happy. They're growing quite old together, and it's beautiful to see it. Sometimes marriages do work SSM, but when I was a child, they had their issues. To be honest, the issues didn't come from my mother. She was a saint. Okay. It makes you feel better. Maybe you're right. I hope so. But nobody's a saint in this, bro. Nobody is a saint in this world. Nobody. Everybody has baggage. Everybody has skeletons in their closets. One of the kindest women I know, but strong and true to her word to a fault. My father, not a bad person, was so committed to his work that my mother often went largely ignored. I'll point out that my mother never said anything bad about him. In fact, she defended him. Well, he's doing his job and providing, as she would tell us, but we can see that she was neglected. To my dad's credit, sometimes after I became a man and went to the military, he changed and started balancing his home and life a lot better. However, as a child, in my mind, he was just another man causing another problem. If he was simply just not around and focusing on his job and his purpose, it doesn't make him a villain. Okay? Providing, taking care of the family. And what you say is true about your mom, not bad-mouthing him from other people and saying he's taking care of the family. I respect that, and that's really good. Because nowadays, they'd be bad-mouthing him left and right. So, I grew up thinking men were the issue. Oh, my friend, you were about to learn a lesson. Women were just great in my head. They don't cheat, they don't lie, they don't neglect their families. Well, welcome to the 2020s where it's quite the opposite. In my head, men were evil and women were good, and you couldn't tell a teenage me any different. Smack. The fact that my first real girlfriend was a fantastic girl didn't hurt that perspective. We stood together for 2 years and only broke up after we became long distance. She went to college in a different state, but it was amicable, and we were still good friends for years after that. Even my second girl was great. Witty, pretty, and we both were into video games, so we had a common interest. We're still friends to this day, and every year we always wish each other a happy birthday. We haven't forgot to do so since high school. But then we come to the one that rid my silly notion of women being saints, Jessie. Okay, Jessie. Short for Jessica. Let me tell you guys, some of the most crazy, out there, difficult women in this world that I've known just so happen to have the name Jessica. Call me crazy. I don't know about you guys out there. Maybe you have some Jessicas you've known in your life, but holy crap. Anyway, Jessica, or Jessie, was beautiful. Well, that's where the trouble begins. That's probably the best thing I can say about her. I wouldn't say she was intelligent, but I honestly didn't think so. I don't think so anymore. But she was devious. Because she's beautiful. Hot crazy scale. She can behave that way. Jessie and I met at a barbecue some of our mutual friends were having at a park. At the time, I was casually dating this really hot girl who later became a good friend of mine. I guess when you date hot girls, you become more appealing to other girls because I could see she was interested in me in the minute I brought that hot girl to the barbecue. Of course. And if you didn't bring that hot girl to the barbecue, she may not even pay you any attention. Or if that girl was not as good looking as she was, same thing. But if she was hotter than her, or at least on the same level, then she would say, hey, there must be something about this guy if he's getting this hot girl. That's how it works, guys. She was laughing at all my jokes when they weren't not that funny. She was asking me questions, and she seemed really into everything I was saying. Despite the hot girl I came with, I must admit she caught my eye. But wait, she had a boyfriend. Well, that was it for me then. I vowed I would never be the type of guy to be that kind of evil guy my cousins all were. I wouldn't try to take a girl from another guy. I left it alone, or so I tried. So she has a boyfriend, but she's obviously showing interest in you. What does this say about her? And do you think she'll be any different with you if you happen to get together with her? That's how they operate. You got to pay attention to these things. The problem is when guys stop thinking up here and they start thinking down there because she's hot and she's got a giant rack and a great heart-shaped ass and their mind is in the gutter thinking of everything they're going to do to her in their bedroom, couch, car, you name it, shower. They stop thinking. Over the course of the next few months, Jesse and I would find ourselves at functions together thrown by our mutual friends. We joke here and there, and we end up hanging out together during all those events. I'm not saying it was intentional, but she would end up texting me things like, "Hey baby, I love you," and then follow up by saying, "Oops, I meant that for my boyfriend. Tee-hee." Sure, that was done on purpose. He says, "Whatever. I wouldn't even respond when she did that. Finally, over spring break, she and I were at this event, and we were talking quite a bit. She asked me if I was going to go to this party one of her cousins was throwing, and when I told her no, she frowned and said, 'Oh, I thought it'd be nice we could hang out there.' Mind you, she still has a boyfriend." Of course. She keeps chasing and pursuing this guy. See the pursuit, guys? He's not doing anything. And she's chasing and chasing and chasing him, texting him saying, "Oops." She'll say something into a text and say, "Oops, I didn't mean that. I was meant for my boyfriend." All along while she has a boyfriend. This is trouble. She'll do the same thing to you when she's no longer happy. I can't say what I was thinking, but I agreed to go, and we hung out and got to know each other very well. By the end of spring break, she had admitted that she was totally into me and she wanted to be with me. When I brought up her boyfriend, she told me that he was mean and neglectful to her and he didn't treat her right. Imagine that. Well, then why is she still with him? She's just waiting for a better prospect. And the second she got a better prospect, he's toast. That's how it works. That, by the way, guys, is if any of you have been dumped and you're shocked that your girl suddenly moved on so quickly to some other dude, that's why. Because they already have at least one guy, if not more, lined up in backup, in reserves. The second they got a sure thing going, you're toast and they're on to the next guy. How many of you guys have been in a situation like that or known girls to do that? Still believing that men were all evil, I was eager to hear that this great girl was being ignored, much like that, and by what happened with my mom. I told her I was into her too, but that I won't date her unless she breaks up with him, because cheating was beneath her, and I refused to make her a cheater. Cheating was beneath her, dude? Well, I'm glad you stuck to your guns on that, because you're the type of guy that want to be, taking some guy's girl, but when in essence you kind of were. He says, "I want to stop and point out that there was a very real delusion. In my mind, it was I that would make her cheat, because it was men that made women cheat. Women didn't cheat. Men made them into cheaters. If anyone ever invents time travel, please go back and shoot that stupid kid or at least educate him. Dude, if I get a hold of the DeLorean and I can go back in time and find you, I will smack the shit out of you and tell you how things really are. But the question is, will the younger version of you actually believe me? Or will you stick to your own views that you had based on your experiences growing up?" My friend, I'm so glad you have a sense of humor about this and you're writing in, because holy crap, you were naive and you were about to learn the hard way. It was probably in November. Oh, it says here, within days, she breaks up with her boyfriend, and with him officially out of the way, I felt I could pursue her in earnest. Why do you have to pursue her in earnest? She's been pursuing you the entire time. You don't have to do shit. That's a problem, guys. Guys you'll have some girl that's into you, and she'll make it abundantly clear through her actions that she's into you, bombarding you with texts and emails and calls, showing up where you're showing up, talking to you, laughing at your stupid jokes, flirting and all that. They like you. It's obvious. And then they get them, and all of a sudden the guy stops doing what he's doing. He starts doing what she does. He starts bombarding her with texts and trying to fight for her time and chasing her, complimenting her, doing all these things. And guess what happens? She loses interest because she stops chasing and he chases her. And it's always better when she's chasing you. She likes it that way. She likes the challenge. Okay, you always want it that they're more into you than into them. But the guy does a 180 here, and wait till you see the change in her behavior real quick. I know this isn't the relationship channel, but I point these things out to help you guys that do dating and relationships. It's pretty obvious to me, but a lot of people don't see this until it's too late. It was probably November, December that I told her I loved her. Smack. You never tell a woman that you love her. Let her do it first. Because if you do, guys, and she ain't there yet, it's going to scare the bejesus out of her and think that, oh my God, I'm not into this guy yet. And next thing you know, she could dump you or distance herself. And also, that gives her certainty. And when women have certainty with their guy, they start treating him differently. You want her always wondering, how do you feel? What is he thinking about me? Does he care? Let her do the I love you for you relationship. Let her do the I love you first. What you learn. Yeah, I told her I loved her. I wanted to be with her forever. Smack to the forever part. No, note, I didn't officially propose, but I broke one of the cardinal rules. I gave her certainty. Told you. Of course, she reciprocated the sentiment, but I know that meant nothing. But if that didn't give her certainty, the next event did. You see, back in those days, I was still pretty young, and though I dated some pretty hot chicks, I never had you know what. I had ample opportunity to have you know what, by the way, but due to the horrible manner in which I witnessed my male family members treat their women, I didn't want to make sex a meaningless thing. In fact, I used to say that one day, at the end of my life, I want to stand before God and say, I loved only one woman, so I literally saved it for her. Dude, if that's your view on things, if that's what the life you want, what you want for yourself, that's your business. I got no problem with it. It's not the path I chose. It's not the path I choose, but that's your business. Okay. But, well, you're going to see what happens. He says, yes, your subscribers can laugh and get it out of the way right now. I'm going to get toasted in the comments. Whatever. I was 21. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with a guy choosing not to have you know what. In fact, sometimes we must know when to walk away from it. In fact, that's what I should have done in this case. Again, it's your business, brother. What I think or anybody else thinks, fuck them. It's your business. However, what I think and others think about how you handle this girl, that's a different ballgame. With the sex, that's your business. Before I go further, I need to say that Jessie was always saying how she wanted to be my first. She liked the challenge of taking your virginity. That's what's going on here. And whenever we would Skype at night, once her mom fell asleep, he says she was 19 and still living with her parents, she would do things to tease me. Pull off clothes, but not show anything, and say, that's just the trial, wait till you see the full version. Whenever we were alone, she would really try to get me to have you know what with her. Note that I was not her first, but I'm sure you already figured that out. Oh, we figured that out pretty early on, brother. So when I finally agreed to do it with her, she knew what it meant, and I wanted her for the rest of my life. Smack. I told you from the get-go, this girl's not girlfriend material. She had a boyfriend when she was hitting on you and chasing after you all that time. That says a hell of a lot about her and her character. I know you know this now, but I'm talking to younger you. He says here, she had certainty. She was attracted by it, and she rejected it. After we had done what we had done, which was on her birthday, we were inseparable at first, calling each other all the time, texting, sexting, and just going at it whenever we could. Another rule broken, I was too available. Yes, when men become too available, the woman gets bored. The challenge is gone, and you give her certainty. You can't give a woman certainty. They claim they want certainty. They claim they hate uncertainty. And actually, that is a fact. Women do hate uncertainty. But interestingly enough, they're attracted to it and drawn to it. Who gives women more uncertainty than anybody else out there? Bad boys. Bad boys give women uncertainty, and they chase after them left and right, since pretty much bad boys became a thing whenever that was. So when guys give them certainty, with the saying I love you first, and calling him all the time, texting him all the time, dropping everything they're doing to spend time with him, amongst many other things, they get bored. The challenge is gone. Well, nothing else new to discover or figure out with this guy. I guess my eyes are going to start wandering from validation and attention from someone else. I know that's what a lot of you guys may not want to hear, but it's a fact. And if you don't believe me, then keep doing all these things this guy said he did, and watch what happens to you. And watch what happens to him when he gives her all this certainty. One day, a group of us went out to play some paintball. We just had a big group, and we had a blast. I noticed that day that there was one guy there that she was speaking to a lot. Even when I had my arm around her, she was still talking with him. It honestly didn't bother me at first, because I still have this notion that women are just angelic beings made from sugar, spice, and everything nice. So, I didn't put it together what was happening. The same thing that happened almost a year earlier. I was being replaced. What I tell you about the certainty, once a cheater, always a cheater. And when they get bored, they're going to look elsewhere for a new prospect, a new challenge. I was being replaced. I just didn't know at the time. At the end of the outing, I offered a ride home. Now, we actually lived in two different directions, so she told me, "Oh, it's okay. I'll catch a ride with Tyrone." No, it's not his name, but I don't really remember what it was, and it seems appropriate. He lives closer to me, and it's on the way, and I really don't want to put you out. She's something. She knows she has you. She knows you're pee-whipped. She's got you. To her credit, at least she broke up with me before getting with him, as far as I know. There you go, and it's over. 3 days later, we were no more. She broke up with me. It wasn't me, it was her. She assured me that. Not even a week after that, she was dating Tyrone, though that didn't last very long either, from what I heard. So much for the sweet sugar and spice and everything nice, sweet. They never cheat, never lie, never do any of that. You learned a hell of a lesson. But his learning experience was just starting, guys. I wish I could tell you that the story ended there, and it didn't get any worse, but it did. A lot worse. If she would have just left me for some other dude, I probably wouldn't be writing this today. But it's what she did next that rocked me to the core. I only found this part out because I maintained a good relationship with some of the people in her family, despite what happened next, but this was what went down. Jessie was talking to her sister privately in their room, and her sister asked, "Why did you break up with EJ?" And she answered something about how I was inexperienced at sex, which was to be expected. I was a virgin before her. Everybody sucks when they first start. That's how it is. Her mom overheard the conversation and she flipped out. Now, Jessie may have been 19 years old, or she may have turned 20 then, but her parents were very religious and she was still living in their house. Her father whooped her with the belt. I heard in the midst of beating her, he said that he forced me. In other words, the guy she ratted out this guy and said it was his fault. He forced me to do that, not me, not your angelic daughter, Daddy. False accusation. Yes, SSM, she accused me of something horrible. Suddenly, I'm getting text messages from her dad about how I'm a dead man, and how I better sleep with one eye open. Just for the record, I didn't live with my parents by this point, so I'm pretty much alone, and with no one that can really help me defend myself if he decided to make a good on that threat. So I called him to find out what he was talking about. When he picked up the phone, he was yelling at me, calling me a bastard in so many words, and how I need to mark those days as my last. He hangs up, and Jessie's sister calls me and tells me what Jessie said and why her parents are upset. Wow, it's pretty amazing her sister was helping you out. Either her sister actually is a good person or her sister really liked you. I don't know. Now, I don't know the context of why Jessie said it or anything. Her sister only had time to tell me what was said, but she didn't tell me why. But her sister must have known from the context of the conversation that it was a lie, because she was defending and siding with me. And she probably also knows her sister's shit. And sometimes sisters will, well, I've seen a lot of situations where sisters are terrible to each other, and I don't need to get into that. Anyway, I told her sister, if she is saying that, then call the cops and let them sort this out. I've done nothing wrong and I have nothing to hide. For some reason, no one did. But what I did was compiled all the text messages, Facebook messages, Skype screenshots, sexting messages, everything ever sent to me by her, and put it into a zip file and sent it to her parents and sister. Woo! Uncensored. That is the only thing that saved me, because the messages basically show that there was no force used, and how she would hit me up asking me to come over to ride me, and how she sent me pictures of her ass to entice me. I'm an ass man. Dude, you are so lucky. I'm so happy you were smart enough to save all those things, because that saved your ass. Because imagine if complaints were filed with authorities, and it could have been. Not to mention a crazy pissed off father about you nailing his daughter. A few years later, I learned that everyone read that. No one believed her except her mother. Oh my God. Even the mom's got to believe her. Come on here. All that proof, all that evidence. She still doesn't believe. And eventually she stopped believing Jessie. That's why no one came after me. That's why no one called the cops. I thank God that I never deleted the messages. I advise any man dealing with any woman to save all their conversations. You never know when you'll need it. There you go. Pay attention, gentlemen. Besides the indignation of her defaming me, what really bothered me was the heartbreak. This was someone I thought was very special, and not only was I cast aside, but I was sacrificed to save her ass. Literally. I would never in 100 years think to lie about someone I loved to save me. That wasn't just heartbreak, it was a complete shattering. But I learned. Yes, my man, you learn. So let's go back to the beginning of the story when he was all, men are evil, men are liars, men are this, and women are angelic beings that would never do anything to cheat, lie, amongst many of the awful things that, a lot are capable of. Doesn't mean they're all going to do this, but plenty out there do. That's why this whole blue pill mindset that so many guys have, whether they're conditioned by that by their families, movies, television, media, guys need to have an open-minded approach to look at the world. But sadly, there's so many dudes out there that see it one way and don't even want to hear anything that it could be any different than their own view of the world. And it's usually those types of guys that hate my guts because of things I talk about. Like, how dare you? Because I have daughters, or a sister, or my wife. How dare you talk about them like that? Okay. Wait until you're in a situation about things I talk about and see what happens. Anyway, he says, I learned. After Jesse, I spent most of my 20s alone. I did not date anyone. Didn't meet new girls. I turned down my share of women and I worked on myself. Good. Self-improvement. Making your life something good. Your 20s pretty much sets the stage for how your life's going to go. I'm glad you focused on you. I learned a third language, worked on a manuscript, went to the military for a few years, got into great shape, quit smoking, finished college, became a Christian, etc. I invested time into me, and now I'm 31. I'm making the money I want. I married a great woman who defers to my leadership. Yes, I know, but trust me, I know she was good when I found out she didn't have an Instagram on her Facebook and barely had any photos of her and was private. She only needs attention and validation from me. Plus, I've known her and her good family since they were children. That was a long, in parentheses, thing about his wife. I had two crazy but smart little boys, and I'm genuinely happy. Good, man. I'm glad you're happy. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you met a woman that you married and that you're happy with and truly feel like she's got your back, loyal, all that. Good. I'm happy for you, and I hope it stays that way. But I hope you learned all your lessons about what happened earlier so things don't happen like that again. As for Jessie, I don't really know what happened to her. People kept telling me she was still single and that she keeps going through guys that dump her constantly and ghost her. And truth be told, I hope that's not true. Well, you're a nicer man than me. I would hope that's true. I owe her a debt I can never repay. Without her, I would have thought women were incapable of harming others. She taught me a valuable, painful lesson that I can pass on to my sons. I pray that whatever is wrong with her gets fixed and she can live a happy, productive life as long as I'm not in it. Well, that's good you're not walking around with hate in your heart or anything like that because that will poison you. But you learn your lesson the hard way. So you said you have 2 sons. So you can set the example of a man that, like I talk about, you don't need to be a criminal. You don't need to be a scumbag, a cheater, a liar, and all that. But you can be a man that goes after his goals, his purpose. It shows strength in his relationship with his wife, because you're married, by being the leader, by taking charge, by making her feel safe and respect you in a way that she will trust that you will lead. And when a woman feels safe with a guy and can trust that he's going to lead, then she'll be feminine around him, and there'll be minimal BS. But she will check you, she will test you from time to time, and you got to be strong enough to stand up to her when she's being difficult, to check her when she's being wrong, whatever that may be, and not put her on the pedestal. I know she's your wife, I know you're obviously traditional, but what you learned what happens when you give women too much certainty and all that. And set the example as a strong man for your sons, and that way then they can have the happy medium. They can be good guys, but they're going to have masculine qualities to make them strong and be respected and not taken advantage of, and you're good to go. That's the best you can do, amongst many other things for your boys. But anyhow, bro, great story there. Again, it takes balls to write your story, and for you guys to write stories to me and share them with the whole world. But this will help guys out, both your story and then pointing the things out where you made mistakes. All lessons I talked about. Once a cheater, always a cheater. If a girl's going to cheat on a boy for you, one day when she gets bored with you, she'll cheat on you for another guy and replace your ass like that. And the whole thing about certainty, amongst many other things. And sadly, in today's world, you never know what you can be accused of, so you got to be careful. And having the records like you had, thank the Lord, saved your butt. Big time. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let this guy know what you think about this. And I'm glad you guys stuck around for the whole 30-minute video we got going on here. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.